everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Tuesday. Rachel Hill here, creative director at Foresight, and really excited to be filling in for Steve, covering a topic that's a little bit different than probably what you guys are used to on a Tech Tuesday, but I hope it is equally as impactful as the technology you see here, which is how to emotionally connect while talking about your technology. So I'm going to talk all about storytelling. I've got ads to break down. Really excited. Going to get into it after our intro.
Hey guys, Steve Moran here.
Awesome. So, guys, I am so excited to be here and talk about this topic. So, when Steve asked me to fill in for him today, I wanted to come at this episode and approach this Tech Tuesday how my brain works. So, I am a little bit tech savvy, but really where my heart is, my area of expertise is storytelling marketing. And I think when I was thinking about this episode, one of the things that really gets missed is how do you take technology, which is this cold, hard thing, and soften that and emotionally connect and tell a story of what your technology is going to provide to that community. So I have some slides to go through. Like I joked on social, if we're connected on LinkedIn, well, I wish this was like reading Rainbow and I'm reading to you story time, which I would really enjoy. So maybe one day, but I am going to be diving into the topic of storytelling meets senior living. So if you want to pull up the next slide, Jada, kind of go through a little bit about why it matters and the impact that you can make with that. So the research talks about that ads built around personal connections, emotional connections are what really succeeds. So that's what allows people to remember your brand and also not feel so forced. Like I think about the Super Bowl when I see all the ads and we see tons of them. The only ones I remember, which are usually less than a handful, is something that sparks emotion in me. And I sort of put that on the back burner and I'm like, wow, like I can recall how that made me feel, not necessarily what I saw. So I think what you feel from an ad when you're advertising, what you can make your audience feel is 10 times more important than just showing them and feature dumping. So I do want to get into that. And also talking about how real stories are actually what helps with conversions for your product because it allows the person that you're marketing to actually see themselves in that scenario when you put real people in that. So let's dive in. If you want to pull up the next slide. Awesome. So I found two really awesome examples that I thought were really fun. And one of my big things that I love doing is looking for examples of how we can make senior living better with our marketing, advertising, how we talk about it from industries outside of our sector. I always think it's super important to pull in that outside experience. So the first ad that I'm going to talk about here is from Apple for their Mac chargers. And I love this ad. It's super funny. Jade, if you want to go ahead and roll that, and then I will talk about it a little bit more. And as you could tell already, just from even watching that, it brought a huge smile to my face. It made me think about, of course, myself and how forgetful I am, and how with travel, a lot of us can tend to leave our chargers at different hotels or in the conference centers that we're at. So I found that super relatable. And I think that is exactly what you want to do when you're talking about a product. You want to make someone laugh, feel emotional, be able to just be like, oh, that could be me sitting on my couch. And my battery is slowly draining and I need some help with this, but I have no clue. So I love that. Jade, if you want to pull up the slides, I'm going to go through a little bit more of why this ad is so successful. So real quick, just on the left here, I'm going to talk about this ad is awesome because it's anchored in real world emotional relief, kind of just what I was talking about, that we've all had that feeling of like, shoot, my battery's at like 7%. Now what am I going to do? So I love that it sort of pulls at you that way. So Jade, if you can go to the next slide, I'm going to break this ad down a little bit further. Awesome. So let's talk about, first of all, it delivers clear and compelling benefits. I think that's one of the things that we think about is we want to try to talk to everyone, and that never works. When you are trying to talk to everyone, you never talk to anyone specifically. So you want to compel that person about the benefit that they're going to get out of your product, a friction point. So something to think about when you're storytelling and talking about your product. So again, next you want to kind of move on to offering this relief. Like, how's it going to solve their problem? And I think when you can share, whether it's fall detection software, whatever it is that you are marketing, when you can share how that's going to bring relief and calm, that's all someone's really looking for. And again, it's often missed, but think about your overall brand picture, brand alignment, what your voice sounds like, and continue to work that tone into your ads or into your sales pitches or things when you are talking about your products, so that it doesn't feel disjointed, so that you start to get a certain association with your brand. So Jada, if you want to go back a slide, perfect. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Airbnb. And I saw this commercial a few years back now. I actually think this might have been a Super Bowl commercial. I absolutely loved it. So Jada, if you want to pull that one up, please. Yes, and I got a dance break. Guys, copyright, don't come for us, please. It was in the ad. Airbnb paid for this, so don't come for us. But so I want to talk about personally why I like that ad and why I think it's so powerful and elicits emotion. And then I'm going to go into a breakdown of, again, statistically why this worked and a little more data on that. But first of all, I want to talk about this juxtaposition of older adults and this new modern era that we're living in. And we don't see enough integration of that, honestly. I think a lot of the misconceptions of when we market things in senior living is to get in this mindset that older adults don't want the same things as us or as a younger generation. And I think that is misguided. So I love that juxtaposition of this older couple with this pretty current pop song. So I love that, first of all. Second thing I wanted to talk about in that ad is it is so simple. I think oftentimes we overcomplicate when we market, and especially when it comes to technology, we want it to be flashy. We want to talk about every single feature it offers. And honestly, I think that just boggles people and you get lost in that. Whereas this was a simple slideshow. Like I could easily see any of my relatives just posting these photos on Facebook. So that's what I loved about it personally. And again, it's not overcomplicated. Jada, if you pull the slides back up, I'll go through this a little bit more. So I love that this elicits emotion. And the cool thing about this is actually a real couple. They've been married for 57 years. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about real people, not actors, and not overcomplicating it. So I want to talk a little bit about more of the broader storytelling highlights. So it allows the viewers to really join this couple on their vacation. Like you almost feel like you are at that ping pong table, you're trying on cute outfits with her. Oh, Catherine, awesome. I love that. Yes, yes. Marketing, it can really be too overcomplicated. And Jada, thanks for pulling up the chat. Yeah, if you guys are watching live, please let me know if you have any questions as I'm going through this. I'm happy to answer. So last little bit about this commercial. So let's talk about sort of the process of how this works. So what I love about this ad is it's taking you from just thinking of this as a way to book a vacation as a way that it's broader. It's more about how are you going to feel by using Airbnb to book somewhere, not necessarily viewing it as this digital device. So that's what I really love about it. It's focusing on the memories that you can make rather than, again, this stark computer image of going on and booking a vacation. So Jada, if you want to go to the next slide. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about how to break down what to include when you are telling your story, whether it's online, whether it's in print ads, whatever you're doing, video, written. There has to be an arc here, and there's certain elements that are included in that, and all of these are present in each of those ads that I just showed you. So let's talk about the 5 elements of a powerful story. So first, you want to center things around your hero. I've heard a lot of people in our space say this, James Lee is one of them, where you are talking about senior living from your perspective, not necessarily your customer's perspective. And I think that is something that really needs to shift. So one thing to keep in mind, whether it's the older adult or the caregiver that you're marketing to or want to solve the problem for, put them at the center of your story, because that's who needs to be at the center of it, not from your perspective. Let's talk about what the problem or friction point is. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but whatever that issue is, whether it's preventing falls, again, helping streamline data that someone is looking at in a community to keep things running and organized, think about the problem that you're solving. I think oftentimes we get lost and we don't even realize that people just need their problem solved. So again, going back to that idea of don't overcomplicate it. Guide. So again, your brand offering that solution. So again, the problem, how do you fix it, basically? The transformation, what does this potentially look like before and after, which I don't think we see a lot of in this space, really talking about the transformative power of what a lot of these tech offerings and tech solutions that we have in our space offer. So would highly recommend doing a lot of before and after, especially in the PT physical therapy space there, with what technology is doing and can help with mobility before and after using the product. Awesome. And then of course, we all know those 3 lovely letters, CTA. So make sure that it's not just buy my product. I love this word, invitation. Offer an invitation to have a deeper discussion about your product, not necessarily just buying it, but just having a conversation. So don't lose that zest to have a conversation about your product and not just sell it. Jada, if you want to go to the next slide. Awesome. So let's kind of lay everything out here as I wrap up this presentation. I feel like, there's a lot here to digest and dissect. So I'm going to kind of run through really what I hope you'll take away and implement from this talk. So one, let's start with market the outcome that your product enables, not just its features. Let's go ahead and use storytelling to explain before and after, and put your customer, put your consumer as the star of this story that you're telling. Next, you want to center your brand around personal experiences and an emotional transformation. Again, I love this, the beauty that storytelling can do in taking something that is, a lot of us picture hard and cold, which is technology, and softening that. Show personality. I just posted about this on LinkedIn. I think there is often a fear, a reticence of sort of being bold, showing something that's a little different than how we're used to seeing things marketed in this space. So, within reason, take some risk, show different perspectives, and have fun with it. I think that's something that's also missing in a lot of marketing here. Again, when we talk about technology, there's this lack of this presentation of joy that solving a problem for someone can provide. It's a huge deal. So, and lastly, elevate your customers as thought leaders. Let's talk about testimonials. Let's talk about getting reviews. Honestly, when, again, you're putting real people in these scenarios, other real people are inclined because they relate. They feel as if they're at a coffee shop with their best friend and they're just like, hey, this product really changed my life. This was really helpful. And I can't tell you how many times I've made a purchase solely just based on a recommendation from another person, sometimes not even the ad that I saw. So those are some things to keep in mind. And then lastly, I do have some of the sources here that shed some light on this. I will drop all of these in the comments once the show wraps. But, I think it's important to dig deeper on these concepts. And, this is how I learn. This is how I break things down. But maybe there's a different approach that you want to have to this information that was laid out here. And also in the comments, after the show drops, if you'd like a copy of this presentation, let us know. We'll make sure we get it out to you. I'd be happy to. Nothing makes me happier than being able to help brands elevate their messaging. Again, particularly in this tech space where I think storytelling is often neglected. So I really hope this was helpful. I hope it was fun. I had fun. Again, go back, watch these commercials. If you want the slides, let us know. And guys, Steve will be back next week with another great episode. And thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.